All right. Well, here we go. Big crowd today, and but we'll have a good time. And actually, I like small setups because we can interact and tell our own stories and talk about our own problems and that kind of thing. So, my name's Randy Fay, and I'm one of the maintainers of DDEV, and I'm happy to have you here today. I live over in Palisade, over in the western part of the state, and happy to be over here today. It's like a lot of Drupal Camp Colorado's for me. My first one was in 2009. Oh, gotcha. It was my first Drupal event ever. Was that same one? Yeah. So, could you introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, everybody, my name is Aaron. I live on the western slope as well, coming up from Gunnison. It's my second Drupal camp. I've been working with Drupal for 5 years. Nice to meet you all.
Great. And why did you come to this?
To meet more Drupalers.
Okay, no, I meant why did you come to this session?
Oh, the session?
Yeah.
Oh.
You have a problem
learn
to
how to
solve?
troubleshoot.
Yeah, there you go. All right, yeah.
My name's Amy Jin. I live in Oakland, California. I no longer work specifically in Drupal. I work for the Linux Foundation. I think this is my 7th trip to Colorado, kind of incremented through the years. I've gone to all of them. I came here to support Randy, and he's convinced me to put debug on my machine again, and all sorts of troubleshooting for me to do.
Yeah. And she is, of course,
Randy's my mentor.
and she is the winner of.
The Aaron Winborn Award.
Yes.
Before Randy won it.
What is that?
Oh, only the most prestigious award in the world. They give it to anybody.
It's Aaron Winborn was a very influential mentor and leader in the Drupal world, and he faded away and died of ALS several years ago, and they made a prize in his name to honor essentially mentors.
People who gave back, but I think it's been just mentors.
But that's the general idea, is people who are leaders in a mentoring kind of way. And it is, I have no idea how I got it because I'm not even heavily involved in the Drupal world at all. But it was quite an honor. I mean, it's either in June, so yeah. So how are you?
I work at Drupal Community College. I started administrating a Drupal website in 2009.
Okay.
We actually started putting things together in 2000. That's when I started. Been doing that ever since. I don't do everything for the website. We recently had a company, the Drupal company, create our website. Actually, that's another educational company designed it, put it together, and they hired another company. So they're doing a lot of the back end stuff. I tell them what to do. And, help with, we have someone else who does the content. Basically fix things. I do other development outside of it.
Cool. Good to have you here. My wife and I taught a Photoshop class at ACC back in the day.
I'm Eric Davila. I'm a contractor, but I work primarily the UCSF, where I used to be here 9 years, UC San Francisco. And my general interest for sort of this area of topic is like I've worked on and with the IT team there for a really long time. Was there when I first started doing Drupal at that university, and their sort of primary focus is like a hosting middleman, but they're dabbling more and more in they do site development, but like trying to get them to the point where they're doing sort of platforms. But it means that they have like many different Drupal environments kind of running that are all different levels of complexity and users and things that are wrong all the time. And I'm always kind of interested in like strategies and techniques for things manageable.
Are you from around here, or you work remotely, or are you there?
I work with them remotely. I live in Arvada.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming. I'm glad somebody showed up. That's good. So, what we're going to talk about mostly the big picture is we're going to talk about thinking about troubleshooting and problem solving, and that's the big picture. Then I have a couple of demonstrations of of working through something like that, and I'll demonstrate Git bisect, which is a good demonstration of one kind of a way of breaking down a problem in one way. But the big picture is, how do you think about a problem, and how do you think about approaching that problem, especially if it's a big problem? So I think you probably know me. I'm Randy Fay. I'm the lead maintainer of DDev, and love helping people figure out how to run their thing on their local machine. I put this together with Mauricio Dinarte, who's a great teacher and presenter in the Drupal community, lives in Nicaragua, and we were intending to do this for a DrupalCon, and then we were intending to do it for a Drupal camp, and we've only done it separately. We haven't done it together. But he put a quote in here. It's a very important quote, that understanding the process of finding a solution is far more valuable than the solution itself. So if you master the big picture techniques, then you're better off than just having a solution to the problem. So unless you're the kind of person who never introduces any bugs in anything you do, including code, or can be including anything else, then you need to figure out how to debug. And debugging really isn't just something that we do in the tech world. It's also something that we do in life. It just happens to be easier in the tech world than it is in life. If you go about problem solving with a clear picture and a clear thinking about what you're doing, you will obviously be more productive. And if you understand your problems, if you actually understand the problems instead of just hacking your way around them, then you will actually make everything come out better for all the other things. If you don't understand your problems, if you don't really understand it, then you end up getting a magical mindset, which I will warn you about again and again, where, oh yeah, it was a glitch. Oh yeah, it's so-and-so pushed a button and solved that. And, like it's all magic, and we do not want to do magic. In life, there's a lot that we can't understand and we can't really deal with very well, but in computers, there's no magic. We might not understand it. I'm not saying that we will ever understand every problem, but there is no magic. And we need to recognize that there is no magic. So basic ideas, make sure that you understand your tools. You have spent the time with your tools to master them. If you, for example, work with Drupal code, with PHP code, and you have not mastered your favorite IDE and XDebug in your favorite IDE, you are killing yourself. And every 10 minutes that you spend learning PhpStorm or VS Code with XDebug will pay off in days and days of benefit. So learn those tools. When somebody explains a new tool, when somebody explains a new way to use AI to do some kind of thing, or, spend that time that is not approaching a problem to prepare so that your tools are good. Feel free to stop me anytime, and feel free to raise your problem or your history, because that's all we're here for, is to share together
how these things work. So that's good. So when you have a problem, sometimes you don't recognize that you have a problem. So when you actually take the time and you recognize that you have a specific problem, if you can be specific with yourself what the problem is, and maybe even write it down, or, like acknowledge it, and you understand the scope, you understand whether it's a little nit or whether it's something that might threaten your whole project. If you understand the scope, if you know how to reproduce the problem, you are so far along. So figuring out how to reproduce is fundamental. And then if you can simplify the problem, I can't tell you how many times people come to the DDev Discord or to the Drupal DDev channel in Slack, and they say, I've got this thing and it's all blue doo 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 ba-doo ba-doo. And you say, well, like, first of all, is this likely to have anything to do with DDev? And the answer is often no. It's something about their project that they don't understand. But when you coach them about how to simplify the problem, you say, have you tried this in a plain vanilla Drupal install? Here, go over here and please try this. Please use the current version of DDev and start it up and use that. And so that is, if you can learn those general techniques about simplifying the problem, it's fundamental to your success. So don't look at the whole thing in the context of your big project. Think about, how can I simplify this? Is this one module? Well, let's just try installing that one module in a plain vanilla site if we can. Think about techniques to simplify the problem. Break it down into pieces. And we'll talk about many ways to break a problem into pieces, but the simplifying is a fundamental thing. So then dividing the problem is another fundamental strategy. And we'll talk about git bisect later, but that's a way to divide something over time. You're saying, oh, I have a problem that was introduced over time somewhere and I want to find it. But there's also, is it in one piece of the code base? Can we figure out what piece of the code base the problem is? Sometimes something's been introduced, and git bisect or a similar tool is a good strategy for that. But just figuring out all the ways to divide a problem is good. And then, solving it, as I said, use your debugging and your thinking techniques is fundamental. So any reactions to that? Any thoughts? Any ways that has meant something to you before when you were approaching a problem? Come on in. Come on up front, Jeff, so that we're not, so that I won't feel insecure. Thank you for, yeah. Yeah.
When we talk about understanding the scope of the problem, at that phase, like that early phase, are we kind of trying to understand the why or just the what?
So give me an example. So the question is, when we're trying to understand the scope of the problem, is it the why or the what?
I mean, just that.
Can you say what that, can you give an example of what that might mean?
Okay, so the what is, like, I can't get DDev to load, right? Or I can't get my Drupal site to my PHP doesn't match or whatever. But the PHP is the why. But the what is, I can't get it to load. But do I need to know the understanding of why I need to switch PHP at that stage, or do I?
No, I would say, based on what I think you're saying, is what is actually impacting me,
Right.
is the problem.
Right.
So until I understand more, it's what is the effect on me or my project or my people or my team or my customer. What's the impact?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Of course, when you understand it more, when you chase it, then you've got a different thing. So, any other comments or reactions to those things that we're talking about there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of git bisect. I would love to learn more about
we're gonna do it. We're gonna make sure we get there.
Awesome.
Because my goal with get bisect is just to make sure you know it exists and how easy it is. So we'll do that.
Cool. I'm
Yeah.
learning stuff.
So we
I did want to make a comment. Lately, I've been thinking about this idea of first principles thinking. And it's like a methodology of trying to solve problems by breaking them down into the smallest like atomic truths in the problem. So if the problem was I can't install ddev, to me that would be the why. Like, why is this not working? That's unknown. But the what's, in my perspective, you might be able to see like, oh, the PHP mismatch is a problem. So that is one thing that I know to be true, is that my computer is telling me that it's true that the PHP version is not correct. And so I don't know if that's the only reason that it's not installing or there's other reasons, but at least I know that. So the idea of first principles thinking, like breaking down a problem into just these atomic parts, is essentially what I'm seeing you say out of this. And I just want to know about that terminology. That's not something I ever learned in school, but lately I've been hearing more about this terminology. First principles thinking.
First principles thinking is what you bring up. And can you give us a direction to that, or give us a link to that later, or tell us where we would learn more about first principles thinking?
Well, I'm looking to learn more about it myself.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question, I guess.
All right.
But,
Yeah, I'm sure it's a label. I'm sure it's a label for something that that we could approach in different ways. But I'm interested in more. Yeah, cool. And we can chase that later. So one of the things about a problem is sometimes we're so stymied by a problem that we don't know. Like we're captured by the problem. Like we just bang our heads against it. We don't know how to get the information. So if you recognize that you have a problem and you have tried to figure out the scope of the problem, and you create a plan for approaching the problem instead of just, this is not good. Although I've always said that software developers have to have a real knack for this headbanging, or they wouldn't stay in the field. But if you recognize a problem and can define a problem, and then you create a plan to approach the problem, and you recognize that the problem might not take you 5 minutes, it might take you a little bit of time. If you start with a plan, you've got something to go. Don't assume that you understand the problem. If you have a particular problem, don't just automatically label it with a particular approach. Instead, try to make a plan to chase it. Recognize, and I've said this before, that every bug has a cause, and that cause is chaseable, and you can solve that problem. That's the great thing about working with computers. Yes, I understand that we are not going to solve every problem that we ever come to, and that there are ones that escape us, but they are deterministic. And that's great. That's so much better I was a teacher once, and like trying to solve the problem that you don't know how to deal with your 9th grade social studies class, or to get them under control, or to, those are much, much bigger problems. These computer problems, they're pretty nice by comparison. So when you have a problem that has a log or an error message, actually read it. That's another thing that, people come to the to ddev Slack or whatever all the time, and they say, here, I got this error message. And of course, the error message has a link in it that says exactly what to do. And they haven't clicked that link, which is fine. We're happy to do that in all cases. But read the error messages, read the logs. I've been very much guilty of having a problem where I didn't actually read the detail in the log, and if I had, I wouldn't have had to do anything. So then form a hypothesis, say, well, I think this looks like it is in this subsystem, or it might be in this module, for example, in a Drupal world, or it could be like form a hypothesis so that you can then chase that hypothesis. And when you're trying to frame an approach or a hypothesis, talking with a friend, or many of us work alone, and ChatGPT or whatever is actually a pretty useful place to talk with somebody. We used to go to our neighbor's office back in the day of offices, and ChatGPT and all of its friends they're pretty stupid sometimes, but they're pretty good to talk to at other times as well. So, like I was saying, take the time to master your tools, because your tools are going to give you capabilities here. So make sure that whatever IDE you use, and do use an IDE, because it's a way to, if you don't use an IDE, start using an IDE. You need to be able to have that big picture perspective of what your code is, an easy way to navigate it, master it, learn how to go to a particular function or class, learn how to use the debugger in it. It's fundamental. Any language that you're using, if you don't know how to use the step debugger in that language, you are cutting yourself off from everything that you need. You must know how to use a debugger in any language. And in version control, Git has taken over the world. Git is a wonderful thing. I know that Git is not everybody's friend. I recommend that you learn how to use it completely on the command line, and that you know how to use it for very, very good things. My collaborator on this, Mauricio, has demonstrated in some of his presentations this great technique where, and you can do this with AI as well, where every time you make an attempt at a change, it might be a debug configuration change or a change to your PHP code, every change you make, you commit it. You're going to throw away the commits, but it's a way of tracking every single thing you do as you experiment. And you can just revert it or remove, or just reset and go back. So that whole approach of using Git as a way of using markers as you go along is a lovely technique. So mastering Git is fundamental. So I used to keep a journal, and I would just have the journal open, and every day as I was working through a problem or a design or a thing, I would write in the journal what it is. That's not that different from using a Git commit, and I don't use that anymore. Sometimes I do, when I'm working on a difficult problem, I do like open Notion and keep notes as I go about the things that I tried. But my old journal technique was good, and using Git to control your changes as you experiment is good. Of course, work locally, have your own environment, whether it's DDEV or whatever it is. Use database inspection, learn how to use SQL, and use grep, and use grep on your error logs and that kind of thing. So I think we talked about breaking down the problem and trying to divide it, and that's the title of the session, is Divide and Conquer. So figuring out how to divide your problem into smaller things so that you can find your way to it. So we're going to do Git bisect, which is a time-based breakdown, but debugger, so XDebug, if you go into Drupal and you have a problem and you put a breakpoint in the index.php, and the index.php in Drupal has maybe 5 major things that it does, right? And your problem is in one of those 5 major sections. So you can see which one it appears in by stepping over those and seeing which one does the thing. Then you can step into them, and if you understand Drupal well enough, you can jump past that stage and find quicker where you should be putting your breakpoints. But that's using an execution technique. In Drupal, because Drupal does all of the hooks and all the weird things that it's not as easy to figure out. If you don't know the code base, it's not as easy to figure out how to choose where to put your breakpoints. In a more procedural environment, it's easier. When you have problem code, in many cases, you can comment out like half of the code, and so you comment out the bottom half of the code and figure out if the problem went away. You don't care if you just broke it all. You just want to know if the problem that you have been able to define still shows. So that's another way to do. Disabling half of your modules is something that you can do, and that's a general idea in Drupal. Sometimes if you have, disabling half the modules on a big site is really hard, and they have dependencies. But if you have a suspect module, then you can disable everything but the suspect module and its dependencies. And then you can figure out whether it's just them. And that'll get rid of the problem of some hook in some other module that is actually the problem. That's another way of dividing up the problem. And then get bisect, which we'll look at, which looks through the history of your project to see what happened. If it's code, it might not be code, of course. Any comments on those strategies for breaking down the problem that you have experienced or thought about, or? So,
I'll just say,
yeah.
adding breaks in like XDebug is huge once you learn how to.
It doesn't take anything.
And it's kind of like almost old school, like, hey, I got here in the code, like.
Right. Right.
So I've had lots of success with that.
Many of us at some point in our lives use printf-debugging, where you just inject some stuff in the code and it outputs some stuff. And that's not invalid, it's just very, very inefficient. It's still sometimes the thing to do in I was working on a Windows installer the other day, and it's in a language that I don't even want to talk about. And I don't know of any debugging techniques besides printf-debugging for that. And so I just kept adding more printf-debugging. It works, but I wish that I had a debugger. It's NSYS, the Nullsoft installation system from 1995 or something. It's the only open source Windows installer toolkit that there is. I'm going to skip along because we'll run out of time, and I have repeated the same thing over and over again. But the things are worth repeating, so I'll repeat them again. If you can recreate the problem, you can solve it. So if you can recreate it, so before you do anything else, see if you actually know how to recreate it. See if you can figure out how to recreate it. You can solve it if you can recreate it. If people come to any of the DDEV support environments and they have a GitHub repo that I can run, I'll help them right away. It's easy, right? If you can demonstrate it, you can solve it. And if you can demonstrate it in a simple environment, like maybe you're working on a client project and you have a particular problem with a particular module or theme or whatever, and you want help on that, you don't have to share the client project. You can recreate it in a simpler environment. And you're more likely to be successful that way anyway, especially if it's an open source module or theme or whatever that is, or if you can reproduce that. And one technique that I love when people do is to just push up a recreation scenario to GitHub in a gist or a repo or whatever they do. It's great. One thing I find that people have trouble with is when they're having a weird problem that they think might be PHP itself, change the version. If you're doing 8.3, switch to 8.4. I've had many situations in my life where PHP FPM would crash with a core dump. And if you'd switch to a newer PHP version, like even one minor, then it would go away, which that's not as reproducible as I would like, but it is a way to solve the problem, especially like a crash problem with FPM. And the database type is rarely related in a Drupal context. Okay, what I'm going to do is just take a quick look at two problems that were set up, that Mauricio set up. It used to be three. I went to get this ready, and we had three problems in our demonstration repo, and it turned out that one of them had been solved in Drupal core, so it didn't, like it was something that was wrong with his module. But it wasn't expected to be wrong, like it was a stupidity. Well, I mean, it was something that was not done according to spec, but it shouldn't have caused the problem that it caused. And so I went back to get this ready, and lo and behold, that problem was gone. So I had to comment it out. It wasn't going to be very good that way. So let's just take a look at one of the problems. We're going to take a look at the two problems here. So we're using this project here, the troubleshooting demo, and you don't care and you don't have to follow along, but this is just a plain vanilla Drupal 11 site updated, and we are going to just do a DDEV start on it and then look at the problems. That we have two problems here that are demonstrated. One is that this module, it's just a stupid module. It's a hello world module. It has a page not found. And the other one is that it has introduced a permission, and the permission isn't there. And so we're going to use simple techniques with both of these right quick to try to understand and develop a theory about what might be wrong. And of course, this is a module that we have created, or our collaborator has created, and we want to know what is wrong. So I'm just going to do the things that it says here, and I'm just going to install this. Is that big enough to be seen at all? Is it okay? Okay. And so I'm just going to do a site install on this, and then we're going to take a look, and we're going to enable this Hello World module. And now we're going to do a launch on it. We're going to just launch, and we're going to go to the Hello URI. So here we are, and you see that we have a 404, we have a page not found, and we don't know why. And this is a trivial module, so why in the world would the hello page not be found? So it's pretty easy for us to come up with an initial idea. This probably has to do with the stupid hello world module, right? So one of the first things that we might do, I'm going to have to make this bigger for sure. Now, how do I make that bigger? I could probably go to presentation mode, right? appearance, enter presentation mode. Let's see what happens. Is that better? So I'm going to just search for the, well, I'm already in the hello world. So here's the, okay. But now I can't see my, I can't see the other stuff. So yeah, don't know. Well, that's not bad. Maybe that'll be better, but I still don't have my, I can't see the other things in my, okay, so I'll just see if I can make it. Shoot, I'm sorry. I don't know whether can you see that at all? It's sort of,
There's a font. There's font size down towards the bottom of that.
right here in this right-hand side.
No, further down the.
Help me get there.
Keep going.
Ah, that's what I want, right? Command Shift, is it Command Shift plus? No, that's not
Just
working.
Command Shift period.
Command Shift period. And it's not.
Or maybe it wasn't.
Command Shift period, not working. Okay, sorry. I'll,
Oh, Control Shift period.
Control Shift period, thank you. Hey, that's helping us a little bit. That's good. So here's our whole module right here. And you see that we have, I don't know, modern Drupal very well, but here's the setup for it. And here's what we expected to be able to do here. And we can see that this is, there's something wrong with one of these things, probably, if we're just getting a 404. And we don't know exactly what it is. And, oh, sorry, I'm doing the wrong thing entirely. I want to be in PhpStorm. That was a big mistake. And now I got to do the same thing, but now I know the tools. So I want to go to like the hello world stuff. Here's the info. And now I'm going to use Command Shift dot. Oh, in the correct window. And now it's got to be something here, right? So one of the great reasons to know your IDE and to use your IDE is that it might tell you what's wrong. So if I go to like the routing file, oh my goodness, can you even see this on the here?
Yeah.
That's yellow?
Yeah.
It's a mistake. The controller is not, the syntax checking is actually checking that for us, and it's screwed up. So the controller isn't being recognized. So just knowing our IDE and opening the file and poking around, because we had a theory, well, it's got to be this module, right? And it's probably the fancy YAMLs of this module. So we could take a look. One of the other things that we could do is we could look at the other routing. So if I search for routing.yaml, if I look for it in one of the other modules, maybe one of them would show me what it ought to look like. And it does, it is pretty clear that I'm doing some wrong things here. But if I just go back to the hello world one, the controller is wrong. And it's actually, if I know anything about Drupal, which I don't, I can do a tab there, and I have solved this problem. Now, if I go here and do it, I don't know whether I have to, I probably have to do a drush CR, right? And now I have hello world. So that was the solution. And we didn't use the techniques that we would expect to use, like XDebug. We would have expected to go and put a breakpoint in that one PHP file, and we could have done that. but it probably wouldn't have helped us. But just having our IDE do the work did help us. So that's a case of just using the big picture, using the tools, and finding out pretty quickly what went wrong. But actually listening to the IDE. The first time I opened this up in PhpStorm, I didn't actually notice that little yellow stuff. And I'm going to try to do better at that, at noticing that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you know what, is that built into the Drupal extension for PhpStorm, that syntax checking?
I think that's built right into PhpStorm. Like it has, when you open a Drupal project, it says what Drupal project is this, and I think it has Drupal 10 or 9, and I think that's built right into PhpStorm. I didn't do it. You know, it just knew, which is pretty impressive to me.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think, it also could be, you know, like DDEV's configs, we upload to the whatever world YAML repository it is that validates YAML.
Yeah.
And so if you make a mistake in the DDEV config.yaml, any of the editors will tell you about it. And it'll show you that you're using the thing that doesn't work or whatever. And so it could be that too. So I don't know whether it's PhpStorm or otherwise. Let's take a look at one other problem with this module that is also pretty easy to see. So the other problem with this module is here where it was supposed to introduce a permission. And I think we already have got this all set up. And when we go to admin people permissions, its permission isn't there. So let's just log in here. And if we go to people, right? And we go to permissions, and there should be a hello in here, or I should have been able to search for it here. And there's nothing there, right? So what's wrong with that? And permissions are in, they're probably in this file here, right? So this is where it was supposed to be added. The hello world allowed permission was supposed to be added. So what's wrong with that? So the first thing that I did as a pretty naive Drupal user is I said, well, I want to look at other routing files. So I'm just going to search for routing. I'm just going to search for routing. And you see there that there are, I want routing.y. I want to see the other routing.yaml files so I can see what they look like to see if I'm doing something silly there. And can you already see what silly thing is happening? Because this silly thing has happened to me many times. If I go to the comment.routing.yaml, it's a lot fancier, but it's pretty simple. There's nothing much to it. But the problem here is like really simple. Our routing is called routing.yaml. Oh, I already fixed it. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, I already fixed it. I left this in there from before. This is supposed to be so that's what we were supposed to, no. Oh, it's the permissions, sorry. There's the permissions. So we're supposed to be looking at permissions. I got lost. So if we say permissions .yaml, do you see the difference between the first item and all the rest of them?
I can't see that.
What's that?
I can't see that.
Oh, sorry. I don't know that I can. Let me try the same thing again. No, it doesn't work. So thank you for telling me that. This one is hello world.permissions.yaml. and every other one is something.permissions.yml. So Drupal doesn't allow both of them. It just wants YML. So a lot of us go between YAML and YML all the time, and they seem equivalent. They look equivalent. They parse equivalent. They aren't equivalent. And so this one actually, my best technique, and I'm not going to do it right now, but the first time I came to this problem, I went to ChatGPT and I said, I have a module called Hello World. It has a hello world.yaml. Here's what's in the contents. What's wrong with this? And it said, it's supposed to be hello world.yml. So that's, AI is excellent at syntaxy things, better at that than anything else it does because it's predictive, right? And so it's.
I just wanted to add, like, the AI integrations into various IDs are really, if you had this with an AI assistant, because it sees the entirety of your project. Like
That's
it does, and you can say, what's wrong with this? And it would, I'm 90% sure.
I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't have that in here, but that's what I would do too. And that's super easy in the IDE with the simple problem. Say, what's wrong with this file, especially with something trivial like this, and I'll bet you it would get it. So, but let's do the git bisect because I want to leave you with the idea that git bisect is there and you can use it and it's easy. And that's the fundamental idea. So we're going to switch and use that git bisect example, which is just a Drupal project. Let me open that. And this is just an ordinary Drupal project. We don't really need to look at the code. We don't care what the code has, but the code has a problem. So if I go to git bisect example, make sure that I'm not on some fixed version already or something like that, and I do a ddev launch on this, it has an error message, and you probably can't read it, but there's the error message. It says your PHP installation is too old. It was Drupal 11, and we got ddev's default 8.3. Like, what's up with that? There's no reason that shouldn't work. So the question is, why wouldn't it work, and what would we do to solve it? So to simplify the problem, we could say, well, let me get here to the correct window. Oh, this is the right window. What version are we using? 8.3.23? What could be wrong with that? That's ridiculous. Like Drupal 11, right? It works. There's no real reason for it to work. So what did some silly teammate do to make this not work? Well, is it an actual problem, or is it actually talking about the PHP version, or is it something else? So I could do a ddev config --php version equals 8.4 and do a ddev restart and see if it works then, so that the install works. And it will work with this. So we're going to immediately know that it is an actual complaint about the PHP version as opposed to something else like that. So now if I do a ddev launch here, everybody's fine. Everything's fine. So we'll go back now and go back to our PHP 8.3 and try to find out what the actual problem is. And what we're going to do is we're going to use get bisect, which is as easy as this. You have to know what version demonstrates the problem and what version doesn't demonstrate the problem as a start. That's the good, that's the bad and the good. And so what we're going to do is we know that here on the head of this version, we have this problem. And then I'm going to do and I'm quite sure that Drupal 8.2.0 does not have this problem, but I'm going to demonstrate that. So I'm going to say ddev, I'm going to say git bisect start, and it says, I'm sorry if you can't, can you see this okay? It's just a wall of text is the problem. Let me see if I can. Yeah, and I'll try to do it clear from time to time so that if I can type clear without it showing me, I'll see. So now I'm going to say git bisect. So I've done a start. It says it's waiting for the good and the bad, and I'm going to say git bisect bad. That one is bad, right? And now I'm pretty sure that if I git checkout 11.2.0, that one works okay. So I'm going to just do a ddev launch here on that, and lo and behold, it's fine. So the problem appeared between 11.2.0 and my head. So I'm going to say git bisect good, and it's immediately going to choose the commit halfway in between those two. And now I can just, it has already chosen the point in between there. And now I'm going to say ddev launch, and that one is good. We don't have a problem. So I'm going to say git, I'm sorry about, let me see if I can hide that. There we go. Git bisect. This one's good, right? So now it went halfway between those. I can do a ddev launch. This one's good. I can say git bisect good again. It's choosing halfway in between again. And there's a bad one. So now it's already broken down our problem logarithmically. And so I can say git bisect bad. And I'm going to now do it did it halfway in between again. This is classic bisect. And this one's good. This one's bad. This one's good. This one's bad. There's a very suspicious error message there. But this one's bad. So I go back here, and this one is bad. And it says, oh, it says it. Did I do something wrong? It looks like I did something wrong. This one is good. And it tells me now that we have now gotten all the way there. So here it says this one is the first bad commit, and look who did it. If we look at that commit, we see that some insidious person injected a commit that makes it require 8.3.25. So, normally it wouldn't be some insidious person that did that. but there's plenty more here, and in the presentation, there's a link to this repository that has the explicit instructions how you can actually script this. So when you're chasing a real live problem, you often have to do a couple of things like do a drush SI in between each of these steps, which I didn't have to do, or some other preparation like enabling a module. But we didn't do that. But the point that I want you to take away is that just by figuring out a good commit and a bad commit, you can use git bisect and find your way to the commit. If it's code that introduced the problem, you can find your way to that. So that was the goal, and we're out of time, but you can do it even more sophisticated. But if you understand that capability is there, it's very cool. So thank you very much. Sure appreciate it.